For 30 days, I followed my wife without her knowing. Every single day, she lied about where she was going. I was certain she was having an affair, so I collected photos, tracked her car, and prepared myself for the moment I'd finally catch her. But on day 30, I discovered a truth so heartbreaking that I wished I'd never followed her at all. My name is Daniel, and my wife, Sarah, and I had been married for 8 years. We weren't the perfect couple, but we were happy. At least, I thought we were. Then, one Monday morning, everything changed. Sarah received a phone call while making breakfast. The moment she looked at the screen, the smile disappeared from her face. She walked outside before answering. When she came back in, she acted like nothing had happened. "It was just work," she said, before I even asked. I didn't think much of it. Until the same thing happened the next day, and the day after that. Every afternoon around 3 o'clock, she'd receive another call. She'd leave the room. She'd come back looking emotional. Sometimes she'd wipe tears from her eyes before pretending everything was normal. Whenever I asked if something was wrong, she'd smile. "I'm just tired." But she wasn't just tired. I knew my wife. Something was happening. Then, one Friday, she said she had to work late. At 6 in the evening, she left the house wearing clothes she would never wear to the office. An hour later, curiosity defeated trust. I got in my car and followed her. She didn't go to work. She drove across town to a quiet neighborhood I'd never seen before. She parked outside a small brick house. I waited. 10 minutes later, an older man opened the front door. Sarah hugged him. Not like coworkers, not like strangers. She hugged him tightly. My heart dropped. I drove home before she returned. That night, I barely looked at her. Every terrible thought filled my mind. Was he her father? A secret boyfriend? Someone she'd loved before me? The next day, I decided I needed answers, but instead of confronting her, I kept following. Day after day. Sometimes she visited that same house. Other days she stopped at a pharmacy, sometimes a grocery store. Sometimes she sat alone in her car for 20 minutes before driving home. She always deleted messages before coming inside. She always smiled as if nothing had happened. After 2 weeks, I was exhausted. Following someone you love changes you. You stop seeing them as your partner. You start seeing them as a mystery. Every smile feels fake. Every hug feels rehearsed. Every "I love you" sounds like a lie. I became someone I didn't recognize. I checked our bank account every night. I searched her social media. I even memorized the license plate of every car parked near that brick house. Still, I found nothing. No affair, no secret trips, no expensive gifts. Nothing made sense. Then came day 21. Sarah left work early and drove straight to the house again. This time I parked close enough to hear voices through an open window. An elderly woman was crying. Sarah held both of her hands. "You don't have to go through this alone," Sarah whispered. I promised him I'd help. Promised who? I couldn't hear the answer. The window closed. I waited another hour. When Sarah finally came outside, she was carrying medical supplies. She drove to a nearby pharmacy. My confusion only grew. By day 28, I convinced myself she was hiding a second family. Nothing else explained the secrecy. Then everything changed on day 30. Sarah received another phone call. She rushed out of the house without even finishing breakfast. I followed her one last time. She drove faster than I'd ever seen. Straight to the same brick house. This time an ambulance was already outside. Paramedics rushed through the front door. Without thinking, I ran after them. Inside, an elderly man lay unconscious on the living room floor. Sarah was crying beside him. A paramedic asked, Are you family?" Before Sarah could answer, the elderly woman pointed at her. "She's the only reason we've survived this year." I froze. The woman noticed me standing in the doorway. "You must be Daniel." I couldn't even speak. She walked toward me. "My husband worked with your father for 30 years. I stared at her. "My father?" She nodded. "After your father passed away, he secretly paid our mortgage for nearly 5 years. I felt my knees weaken. "What?" "He never wanted anyone to know. When he became sick, your wife discovered old letters explaining everything. She promised she'd continue helping us." I looked at Sarah. She was still holding the old man's hand. The elderly woman continued, "She brings groceries every week. She pays for our medicine. She drives us to appointments. She even used money from her own savings." I couldn't breathe. For 30 days, I had followed the woman I loved. For 30 days, I believed she was betraying me, when the truth was, she had been protecting someone my own father once protected. Later that evening, after the ambulance left, Sarah finally looked at me. "You followed me." It wasn't a question. I nodded. "I'm sorry. I thought..." She gently finished my sentence. "You thought I was cheating." I couldn't even deny it. Tears filled my eyes. I became obsessed. "I watched you every day. I searched your phone. I checked our bank account. I stopped trusting you." Sarah stayed silent for a long moment. Then she reached into her purse. She handed me a bundle of old letters. Every letter was written in my father's handwriting. One sentence appeared again and again. "Kindness only matters when nobody knows you're doing it." Sarah looked at me. "I wanted to tell you, but your father's last request was simple. Help people quietly." So I did. I broke down, not because she'd lied, because I had spent an entire month looking for proof she didn't love me, while she spent that same month proving she loved complete strangers. The following Saturday, we visited the elderly couple together. The old man survived. His recovery was slow, but he smiled when he saw us. Before we left, he placed one hand on my shoulder. "Your father would be proud of both of you." For years, I believed love was measured by words, by gifts, by anniversaries, by grand romantic gestures. I was wrong. Real love often happens where nobody is watching. It's found in quiet sacrifices, in promises kept, in kindness that never appears on social media. And sometimes, the person you suspect the most is carrying the heaviest burden alone. I secretly followed my wife for 30 days. I thought I was uncovering betrayal. Instead, I uncovered the greatest act of love I'd ever witnessed, and that's something I'll never forgive myself for doubting. If this story moved you, leave A in the comments and subscribe for more emotional stories with unforgettable twists.